Welcome into Locked On Phillies. The Phillies lose their fourth straight series in a row. I go nuclear on Angel Hernandez, just like Kyle Schwarber did last night. And Bryson Stott sent down. I'll give you my thoughts on today's Locked On Phillies.
You are Locked On Phillies, your daily Philadelphia Phillies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, this is Locked On Phillies. I'm your host, Connor Thomas. Been talking Phillies baseball for years over on 97.5 The Fanatic. Now happy to be with you here as your host of Locked On Phillies. And I want to thank you for making Locked On Phillies your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Let's jump right into it because maybe the most eventful 1-0 baseball game that you've seen in a long time last night between the Philadelphia Phillies and Milwaukee Brewers, as the Phillies fall 1-0 to lose their fourth straight series. Listen, to be good, you're going to have to win series. That's just matter of fact. Otherwise, you're going to be below 500, which is where the Phillies are right now. But a lot more went into this one than just the Phillies losing to the Brewers. I'll break down exactly what I mean in a second. But first, before we get into the Angel Hernandez stuff and everything there, let's figure out how we got to that point and how we got Kyle Schwarber so angry that he had the ejection heard around Major League Baseball last night, which a masterful job of Kyle Schwarber by getting thrown out of the ball game. Honestly, one of the better ejections I've seen in a long time in a Philadelphia Phillies uniform. And we'll break that all down and give it a little bit of a rating because, man, I completely am okay with what Kyle Schwarber did, considering what went on in this game. But first, let's give props to the Milwaukee Brewers, who were great on the night defensively and on the mound. Looking at the player of this game for Milwaukee, and who could it possibly be? There was no doubt in this one. It was Eric Lauer, who got the start for the Brewers in the series ender, with the series tied at 1-1 in a home series for the Phillies against the visiting Milwaukee Brewers. All that Lauer did, well, he only went 6 innings. He gave up 5 hits. So it's like, okay, yeah, he wasn't great, but he wasn't bad when you hear those numbers. No runs or no earned runs, though. So he shut him out. So he must have been doing something right. He walked 1. Oh, and there it is. When you get over to the K column for him, 13 strikeouts for Lauer on the evening. He was unbelievable when it came to finishing off the Phillies hitters. He just had the out pitches working for him last night. Multiple of them, the breaking ball, the fastball. He threw 98 pitches, struck out 13, gave up no runs, and he blanked the Phillies through 6 full innings. It was a masterful pitching performance. Even if he was getting the benefit of the doubt on a couple of those calls, the Phillies just couldn't pick him up. That's a little bit troubling because you look at a lineup by the Phillies that Gene Segura, Rhys Hoskins, Bryce Harper, Nick Castellanos, Realmuto, Schwarber, Bohm, Camargo, Vierling. This is probably the lineup with maybe Vierling and Odubel Herrera switching around that the Phillies are going to trot out most nights. So the fact that they got 5 hit and shut out last night is not encouraging considering some of the issues with the team so far this season. And so you look at what happened out of the pen for Milwaukee. Brad Boxberger, 1K. Williams, Hader, finish off an inning each with 1K each. And, man, Josh Hader was just nasty there to finish it. Again, I keep bringing up that they're getting a bit of a beneficial strike zone from the pitchers. I'll show you just exactly what I mean when we look over at the Philly side, because Aaron Nola, he was also dominant. Nola went 7 innings pitched, and he one-hit the Brewers. No runs, no earned runs, 1 walk, and 9 Ks for him. So not as many strikeouts as Lauer in 1 inning more, but still only 1 hit. Nola was dominant as well. And Nola, this is as close as we've seen him in a long time. Look toward, this is as close as he was to what we saw in 2018 and the form that got him as a finalist for the National League Cy Young Award. It's a great sign for Nola, who, though he is really up and down, and this is not a guarantee he's turned the corner because we've seen really good pitching performances from him before. Think when he tied Tom Seaver's record in New York against the Mets last year for most consecutive strikeouts at any point in a major league game. We were like, okay, well, this guy's amazing. And he has that stuff. He has that level that he can get to where he's just unhittable. He's not there consistently, though, is the issue. But maybe, just maybe, this is a point where he's turning the corner early in this season because he looked dominant last night. That's a really, really, really good sign. So that's a positive takeaway. This game wasn't awful for the Phillies top to bottom. Juris Familia came in. He had one strikeout. He had an inning where he was clean, did not allow any base runners. And then Corey Knebel came in, and he gives up the game-winning hit to the Milwaukee Brewers. Andrew McCutchen, of course, gets the game-winning RBI and hit for them in his return to Philadelphia for the first time since the Phillies decided they would not bring him back after the 2021 season. So a big moment for McCutchen and the Brewers, who got 3 hit in this one, 2 of those hits coming in the final frame against Corey Knebel. And then the Phillies blanked in the bottom of the ninth. I could go through the numbers of the batters. I'll just tell you who had the hits on the night because it was such a slow night. Segura had 1 hit. Harper over. Nick Castellanos 1 hit. JT Realmuto 1 hit. Kyle Schwarber 1 hit. And Matt Vierlin had a hit on the evening. But just a slow offensive performance. Now, we thought we saw an offensive breakout in the last game against Colorado. And then, well, I guess we kind of didn't. We've reverted back. And that's just – here's the thing with Phillies. And this is why I'm not hitting the panic button, which is something important that I wanted to mention today. My hand is not on the panic button yet. Here's why. Have we seen really good starting pitching from the Philadelphia Phillies at points this year? Yes. Have we seen really strong offensive performance for both individual players and the team as a whole at points this year? Yes. Have we seen some strong bullpen performances, even though the entirety of the bullpen ERA is one of, if not the worst, it might still be the worst. It was going into last night, the worst in baseball. We've seen some good bullpen performances. Like there's pieces there. I do think they're going to finish more towards the middle of the pack than worst in baseball. The issue with the Phillies right now is they just haven't put it all together. And they're going to. It's going to take time. But let me tell you what their record is right now. You think, oh, they've lost 4 straight series. They must be way under 500. They're 6-10. They're 4 games below 500. They've played 16 games. They play 162. They're not even a full 10% through their schedule. They'll be over 10% through after tonight's matchup with the Colorado Rockies. But still, we're good. It's like an NFL team starting 1-1 to start the year. It's like an NBA team starting like 2-4 to start the season. Same with the NHL. Like there's not that much sample size yet, and we've seen some good flashes. So I'm not overly worried about all of that. It's just they're going to have to start putting it together, and I firmly believe that they will. They'll have hot stretches, and the question is just, are they going to have consistent enough performances? Not only are they going to play well for enough games in a row or a long enough stretch where they can build up, either catching the Mets, who are still in first place and hot as anybody in baseball, or passing them at some point with a hot stretch, and are they going to consistently be able to play a complete baseball game? That's the question, because they will play complete baseball games. They'll play a lot of them. I still have faith in this team to be over 81 wins. They're going to be an over 500 team. I still feel confident in saying that. But how much over will they be, and will it be enough for them to make the playoffs? Right now, that's where my worry lies, and it lies in consistency. Okay, so that's enough with the troubles of the team right now. As you can see, I'm wearing the funeral black again for the 4th straight series loss. You know, I don't like putting on a black t-shirt and doing this podcast. I don't enjoy it, even though I look all right in black. Yeah, it's not a bad color. Everyone looks good in black. It's slimming, all that. But I don't enjoy it because it means the Phillies are losing. I want them to win the series. Maybe they'll win this next one against Colorado. Maybe they'll win one in New York against the Mets later this week. But eventually the Phillies are going to have to start playing more consistent ball, and I think they will. Last night, though, even though the Phillies have their issues, even though there were interesting parts of the game, it was all overshadowed by one man. And in a second, I'm going to tell you why Angel Hernandez not only is public enemy #1 in Philadelphia after his performance and what caused Kyle Schwarber to have a very animated ejection from the game, but he should be public enemy #1 among major league umpires, because he is doing something to the game that umpires would absolutely hate, and now he's making me love. I'll tell you exactly what that is in just a second. Oh, but first, I want to tell you about LinkedIn. You kind of know what LinkedIn is, right? It's been around for long enough. It's an awesome website that can help you build your professional career. Well, with spring in the air, it's a time of renewal and growth, personally and professionally. And as your small business grows, LinkedIn Jobs is here to make it easier to find the people you want to talk to faster and for free. So you may have had a personal LinkedIn account. You may not have your small business on LinkedIn yet. It's important to do that because it's the best way to find people to bring into your business. And if you're an individual, it's the best way for small businesses or businesses in general to find you for a job. It's easy. If you've got your business, create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs, and you can reach your network and even outside of the network that you thought possible to reach for your open positions. Then you just add your job and the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile, and people will be able to visit your company's profile and see that you're looking for help. They'll want to sign up. This job market, a lot of people looking for work right now, a lot of people wanting to get back into the job market. So you've got to find the right people to hire. There's simple tools, there's screening questions, and make it easy on candidate to find your best candidate, and then make it easy on the candidates looking for your job to apply. It's perfect, and it's why the small business rate LinkedIn Jobs. Let me try that again. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. So LinkedIn Jobs can help you to find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know every week nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonmlb. That's linkedin.com/lockedonmlb to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Okay, it's time to absolutely unleash on somebody. He doesn't play for the Philadelphia Phillies. He doesn't play for the Milwaukee Brewers. He's not the manager of the Phillies, not the owner, not the GM, but somehow he decided he was going to impact the game more than anybody else last night. Maybe that's unfair. Maybe he didn't impact it as much as Eric Lauer, who had 13 strikeouts for Milwaukee, Aaron Nola, who had 9 for Philadelphia. But listen, when the name of an umpire is being mentioned more than any player who played in the game after, that's an issue. And that's happened too many times in Angel Hernandez's career as a major league umpire. He's been terrible for years. And last night was a masterclass in how not to umpire a Major League Baseball game or a baseball game in general. Hernandez was awful from first pitch to just about last pitch. Now, we're going to call him last pitch. And he was bad after the game, too. I don't think he was good on his drive home. I don't think he was good at anything that he did last night when it came to getting to the park, umpiring at the park, even putting on the uniform. I'm going to assume he did that wrong because he was just awful last night. He had a 77% called strike accuracy. You know what that basically means? 3 out of every 4 pitches are called correctly, which means 1 out of every 4 are wrong when it comes to strikes. Okay, that means that there's a chance, a pretty good percentage, that if you get 3 called strikes on you, how many you need to be out in a given Major League Baseball at bat, one of those has a good chance of being a wrong call in an at bat last night against Angel Hernandez. It was terrible. Terrible. He slightly benefited Milwaukee, but he was terrible both ways. It's part of the reason there were so many strikeouts in the game. It's part of the reason that the Phillies got shut out. It's part of the reason the Brewers only had 1 run. It was absolutely awful. Were the Phillies more more hurt rather by Angel Hernandez's bad calls? Yeah, they were. But the Brewers got screwed over as well. It was awful umpiring. Hernandez had 6 strikeouts in the game that were called out on pitches that were outside of the zone. Those are just the strikeouts. Just 6 of those pitches that he missed and resulted in extra outs for teams. That's impossible to allow. You cannot allow umpires to affect that game that much. 2 is too many. Ideally, you should not be calling guys out on balls out of the zone. That's the point of the strike zone. But Angel Hernandez did it 6 times last night, including one that led to the ejection of Kyle Schwarber in the bottom of the 9th. It was unbelievable what he had called. And he had gotten Kyle Schwarber earlier in the game. And with Josh Hader on the mound, it was nearly impossible to hit anyway. And in a 1-run ball game with the Phillies trailing, needing a run, no outs, full count, Kyle Schwarber gets a ball outside. It's a couple inches off the bottom corner of the plate, and Angel Hernandez just rings him up. So what does Kyle Schwarber do? Well, I'm sure you've seen the video by this point, but if not, go check it out on Twitter at LO_Phillies or at Connor Thomas 975 on Twitter. Immediately slams the bat, slams the helmet, turns around, and starts screaming at Angel Hernandez, rightfully so. And he's not too yelling about how Angel Hernandez has been hurting the Phillies all night with his strike zone. He says, "You've missed pitches over here. You've missed pitches over here. You missed pitches up here. You missed pitches everywhere." And it's both sides. It's both sides. And he's absolutely right. It was terrible by Angel Hernandez. And you saw the Brewers dugout and you saw a shot on the Sunday Night Baseball broadcast. By the way, a great job by the Sunday Night Baseball broadcast to call out the bad strike zone and to not be, "Oh, we're the national broadcast, so we're going to back the MLB and the umpire." No, they were saying all night that the strike zone was questionable. They weren't flat out being as adamant as I am, but you could tell they felt it, and they were saying what they're allowed to say within the realm of their responsibilities as national broadcasters of Major League Baseball. It was terrible, and you could see Andrew McCutchen's face on the broadcast after Kyle Schwarber got ejected or during the ejection. You could see the dugout. You could see the Phillies dugout. Manager Joe Girardi came out and argued as well, though he didn't get tossed. Everyone was on the same page. It's rare that you see an ejection where one player gets tossed and everyone on either side is like, "Yeah, that's warranted that he reacted that way because this umpire has just been this terrible all game." It was absolutely awful. And frankly, I'm a little bit upset that Joe Girardi, not that he didn't get tossed there because it's already 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth. You're not doing all that much to get ejected at that point in the game. But he should have been ejected earlier in the game on a pitch to Gene Segura that was 6.47 inches off the plate. That's the furthest strike called out of the zone of any pitch called this season by any umpire. By the way, I've got to give a nice hat tip to Umpire Auditor on Twitter, who gave me those numbers on the inches off of the strike zone. And of course, also at Scorecards on Twitter, who goes ahead and audits those umpires as well and gives out the scorecard. You've probably seen them if you're a baseball Twitter person. Gives you a breakdown of percentages of calls that went correctly, gives you the total percentage of right calls as opposed to wrong calls, where they missed out of the zone and everything like that. It's comical to look at that graphic because the one strike call to Gene Segura is almost off of the graphic. It's like halfway off the border of the graphic. It was so bad. I don't know how as a manager you could see that pitch called and not get ejected and not go out there and lose your mind screaming at the umpire because it was warranted with how bad that was. It almost hit Gene Segura and it got called a strike. That doesn't happen at this level. That happens in the Little League World Series. That happens in Babe Ruth games at the park down the street. It doesn't happen in Major League Baseball. And you know why I said that Angel Hernandez is an issue for other MLB umpires as well? You've heard the talks. Robot umpires are a very real possibility for baseball. And I know the umpires union, that's why they're so ironclad. That's why umpires don't catch flack. That's why guys like Angel Hernandez have a job still, even though they're terrible at the one that they're required to do. It's because they have an ironclad union that will not allow them criticism or to be removed or any type of sanctions from the league when they have terrible games like this. Well, guess what? Technology is now an option. And other umpires who do their job right, they're looking at Angel Hernandez saying, "Dude, you're going to get all of us fired because you're going to have them bring in robot umpires to call balls and strikes because you're so bad at your dang job." So congrats, Angel Hernandez, on making yourself part of the storyline last night. Big me guy, I guess, because you've got to go ahead and just be terrible at your job, not improve, not care about ruining the quality of the games that you umpire. And you know what? It could very well end up costing a lot of guys in your union their jobs when robot umpires are brought in to replace efforts like the one you gave last night. So congrats. It doesn't really cost the Phillies anything this year. It doesn't really cost the Brewers anything this year, but it makes you look what you are, terrible at your job. That's how I feel about Angel Hernandez. That's how I feel about him and what he did last night and the type of game that he umpired. It's terrible. And even though I'm anti-robot umpires, to avoid that, I'd consider it because it was just so bad. Now, speaking of so bad, there was a move today that a lot of people on Phillies Twitter responded to and a lot of Phillies fans were saying was so bad as well. A roster move with Bryson Stott getting sent down to the minor leagues, option to AAA. I'll tell you as we wrap up and set up our Off the Pole segment why I don't think that move is so bad, and I'm going to disagree with most of you. I'll tell you in a second. Oh, and if you think I was fired up there talking about Angel Hernandez, you should have heard me after the game last night in my Locked On Now, the Phillies Now. Well, you can check it out on our Locked On Now podcast. The Nows are immediate reactions to games as soon as they go final from your hosts across Major League Baseball in the Locked On Podcast Network. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And it's a nice little package where you get the immediate reactions of hosts around Major League Baseball that are fans of the team, analysts of the team, and can give you the best immediate recaps of what went on around baseball that night. So go ahead and check out Locked On Nows for your most in-depth and most immediate reactions to all of the goings-on around baseball. Okay, I don't think Built Bar helps with eyesight, so it probably won't be worth it for Angel Hernandez to take these. But you should, because come on, the weather's getting warm. This Sunday in Philadelphia, it was like 75, 80 degrees out. I got sunburned a little bit. That's how you know the beach season's right around the corner. And you've got to get into great shape for it. The best way is Built Bar. Protein bars normally, they don't taste all that great, but they get the job done. Built Bar, though, beats that issue. 100% real chocolate coats the outside of all these Built Bars, and listen to some of these flavors: mint brownie, coconut almond, and new for the month, white chocolate cookies and cream. They all taste great. They taste like a candy bar, but they've got some great numbers when it comes to their nutrition. 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, 17 grams of protein. That's awesome. That'll get you bulked up or cut down, whatever your fitness goals are. It'll help you with it. And if you want to go with something a little bit more like a treat, try their puffs. Their protein-infused marshmallows, also with some great flavors there. Built Bar, they are all about the taste. They make it taste delicious first, then figure out to make it healthy. And I don't know how, but they pull it off every time. So go to Built.com and use promo code LOCK15 to get 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at Built.com. Okay, so let's bring you up to date on the latest roster move by the Philadelphia Phillies today. Infielder Bryson Stott, who, of course, was the first Phillies player in team history, the first former #1 overall pick to make his debut on opening day, debuted on opening day of the 2022 season. Well, he struggled, and now he has been sent down, optioned to AAA Lehigh Valley. What that basically means, here's the rationale behind the move from the Major League standpoint, why there was not a spot for him on the roster. First of all, he's been struggling a little bit. He hasn't really hit the ball that well, and even though he's fielded, you have the natural struggles of a young player coming up to the Major League level and seeing Major League pitching for the first time. It's understandable. And I thought that he was going to get enough opportunity to struggle and fight through those issues. One, because I thought the Phillies would win more games early than they have, but two, because I thought that Alec Boehm and Johan Camargo were not going to be significantly better options offensively or defensively than him. Well, it turns out that Alec Boehm and Johan Camargo are both significantly better options offensively than Bryson Stott right now. Basically, Alec Boehm has become unsittable at third base. He's played much better defense since that nightmare night where he said he blanking hates this place, talking about Philadelphia. And Johan Camargo has been incredible, not only as a utility infielder, but just as a regular everyday shortstop. He can be an everyday shortstop if he plays this way for the Phillies. And right now he is playing this way. So let's look at the numbers. Well, you're not going to take Boehm off third base. You're not going to take Camargo off shortstop. And you're not going to not play Gene Segura at second. So where does that leave Bryson Stott? Well, firmly entrenched on the bench, with about 4 better designated hitters ahead of him, and no reason to pull either of those 2 guys at the positions you would normally play, or the 3 guys at any of the infield positions, off of the field. So I know you look at it and you're like, oh, it kills the kid's confidence to send him down. And you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe I'll eat these words that I'm about to say at some point in the future. But I totally get sending Boehm down because the need is not for infield right now. They brought up Roman Quinn with Matt Vierling in center field and Odubel Herrera as your only 2 options. Having another option in the outfield, especially with Bryce Harper experiencing elbow discomfort and everything, and you having to have Nick Castellanos and Kyle Schwarber in the corner outfield spots every day, defensive liabilities, or at least defensive sub-average players. It's good to have a nice defensive replacement like Roman Quinn, who for the time being is healthy, who they called up. to replace Bryson Stott, and he adds more versatility to this team than Bryson Stott could bring. And also, Stott can now go down to AAA and get his at-bats in and get his swings in for when, undoubtedly, someone gets injured, someone goes cold. It's going to happen. Someone's going to hit a cold streak. Bryson Stott's going to get brought back up. He's going to get more opportunities. Right now, though, because of where the team is, it's just he's a victim of circumstance, not so much of his inability to play at this level, but just the team needed something else right now. And frankly, I don't think it'll hurt the kid's confidence. Part of it is him growing up around Bryce Harper and spending all this time with the NL MVP, the reigning NL MVP, that helps your confidence. Knowing that a guy like Bryce Harper has faith in you as a player certainly helps your confidence. I'm sure he's in his ear all the time. I'm sure Joe Girardi is. I'm sure the organization is, because this is not a send down because he was majorly underperforming. He could have absolutely performed better, and he will at points in his career. He was sent down partially because of his performance, but the fact that it was also just a nature of need for the team right now, I don't think it'll affect his confidence for this time down. And I think it'll be good for him to just get swings in, to stay fresh for when his next opportunity comes up. So I don't have any issue with this move. But in our off the pole segment for this one, because I'm still due for an off the pole segment, and I want to get your feedback, even though it is a Monday episode, I'm going to ask you, are you okay with Bryson Stott being optioned to AAA at this point? Just a simple yes or no question. Off the poll is our segment where I go ahead and place a Twitter poll on at LO_Phillies account, and you can go ahead and respond on Twitter with a vote for one or the other option. And then tomorrow I'll go through your responses and I'll further make my point. Normally I don't make my point at all, but this one I wanted to go ahead and hash out how I'm feeling a little bit. But I'll see if you completely disagree with me, because what I was seeing on Twitter when I rolled through the responses to the Phillies announcing that roster move, well, a lot of people looked like they weren't happy. So tomorrow I'll respond to what we get back from that poll. But again, our off the poll question for today, are you okay with Bryson Stott being optioned to AAA at this point? It's simple enough. So I'm very interested to see where that stands. The Phillies tonight will start a series with the Colorado Rockies. So you see the Colorado Rockies for the second time in as many series. We had them right before the Brewers, but this time, get them at Citizens Bank Park. Maybe the Phillies will be able to bounce back. Kyle Gibson versus Kyle Freeland, a matchup of the Kyles. Again, we saw this matchup last week. Just last week, we saw these two guys match up, and it ended with the Rockies getting a win there. But we'll see if Kyle Gibson is able to have a better performance this time out. So we'll have all of that on tomorrow's Locked On Phillies. I want to thank you again for making Locked On Phillies your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Now make your second listen Locked On MLB. Paul Francis Sullivan, make sure we call him Sully. He's a great baseball resource. He knows everything there is to know about Major League Baseball, the past and the present. He can tell you stories about the game. He can update you on the goings-on around Major League Baseball, why things are the way they are from a league perspective, and it's a great listen. So go ahead and check it out. And he may even have a special Phillies host on a crossover later in this week. Yes, we will be talking to Sully later in this week for a crossover. So make sure you're locked into Locked On MLB. Make that your second listen today. It's great. And make sure you're rating, reviewing, subscribing, everything like that, both on podcasts, networks, and YouTube, wherever you get your podcast, and of course on our YouTube channel. And follow us on Twitter so you're keeping up with everything for Locked On Phillies. That's all I've got for you today. Thank you for checking out another episode of Locked On Phillies, and I will talk to you all tomorrow.